Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies strengthening your business while offering your talent to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Hey everybody, welcome. Deane has put together some epic visuals for our conversation today. And so Christine, thank you for putting all this down on the screen. And so we appreciate you, and you as the marketing, really a coach, but also a team director within the Giver Marketing Network. You've also been kind of loosely involved with like Kingdom Warriors and kind of connecting with the tribe there. And so we really love collaboration on that level as well. Jamar's in the green room, gonna be popping in with us a little bit later, but let's go through what do we have today? Tell us a little bit more, Christine. What do we got going?
Oh, I am excited today. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 2023 marketing trends that you can still implement now. It's not too late. I know we're in June right now, and you're thinking, oh man, it's too late. I missed it. Let me just start next year. No, do not wait. Now is the time to do it. If you haven't had time to do it now. Now, this is going to just be a little mini series. We're going to do a couple of them because there's some really cool trends going on, and we can't cover them all in one marketing class. So this is going to be part one that we're going to focus on today.
Love it. So there's a few kind of topics that we're going to be covering, but all within this theme of it's not too late. Like, it's okay. There's some trends happening that you might want to pay attention to because they're not going away anytime soon. They're first principle activities that you can have in your marketing efforts that are going to affect and move the needle over the next, not only 10 months, but possibly 5 to 10 years. So these are good topic. Christine and I have been looking over this together, and we're just like, oh yeah, this is going to work. So let's jump into it.
We probably want to say, okay, why do you care about marketing trends?
Yeah, good point.
Let's hit that right off the bat, right? Because you're talking about these are great, and they are. So why do you care? Well, your consumers, your clients, right? Your customers, they have certain expectations, right? And if you're not meeting those trends, right? You're not doing what they're expecting. They're like, yeah, I'm moving on now. Thanks. Bye-bye now. Right. So you want to make sure that you're up on the trends. They have certain expectations. You got to meet them. And that's a big part of what this is. So this is what they're expecting. Okay. It doesn't mean you have to do all of them. Pick and choose which ones you want to do, but you need to at least know about them. So if the topic does come up, you're not sitting there with your thumb in your mouth going, I don't know. Right.
Yeah. And there's a phrase we like to use around here. It's progress, not perfection. So take some of these pieces, maybe one of them, and just hit it hard this month. Get yourself up to speed. Nothing really turns off a great audience more than someone who's way out of step. Like they're just behind the times. Maybe they're used to doing something that they've been doing for 5, 10, 15 years, and they haven't refreshed themselves. It's kind of like the person who walks into the room and does a public speaking kind of talk or something with an old pair of clothing, or an old suit, or an old clothing that it's not feeling right. Like, it doesn't feel right for the room. So let's dress for success. Let's make sure that your business, your organization if you're a marketing professional, that you're kind of keeping up with everybody and we're able to play together. So this will be fun. Christine, you want to help us jump in?
Absolutely. And, let you know who we are and what we're doing, right? I'm Christine Deane. I'm the marketing coach, team director at Giver Marketing. And of course, we have Timothy.
Yeah.
And our background, we love helping with this kind of stuff. We like staying up on trends. This is something that we actually find fun. So if you're like, oh man, that doesn't even sound like fun, don't worry. We got you. Come talk
We were
to us
nerding
about
out behind the scenes earlier,
Oh, yeah.
Christine, just sharing resources and tools. And there's always something every week. There seems like to be something. And when Jamar and Tim and others kind of jump into the green room later, we're going to have some real.
Oh, yeah. We're going to geek out with the whole group there.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Let's drop into some of our top 2023 marketing trends. So in this first series here, this part one, we're going to talk a little bit about visual storytelling. I know that's one of your favorites, Timothy. So I think I'm going to let you hit that hard.
Delicious.
Micro influencers. If you're not familiar with that concept, we're going to talk about that. And of course, the standard true, the mobile optimization. You're like, that again? Yes, it's so important. Okay. So let's jump right in with our storytelling. You want to hit this one, Timothy?
Let's do it. Okay, so visual storytelling. When people say that, for those of us who are in the marketing space, I know Tim Solmonson will be chiming in a little bit later on this as well. Jamar will probably talk about the micro influencers piece later as well too. But the visuals, when somebody says visual storytelling, think of like, okay, not just one way to tell a story. There's multiple ways to tell a story. You can do it through written form. You can do it through auditory only, but there's something powerful about visual. Like people remember things that are on video up to 50 times more than they do something that's audio or written only. Okay, they're all powerful, but if you put it together and you have this video like what we're doing right now, if I were to share my story, hey, I was a nonprofit leader for decades, and then found that it was just a really, really awesome privilege to be able to help churches and businesses that have, especially those that have faith components, get the word out about their cause and company doing good in the world. And where I was just tired of these spammers and scammers and slimers in the marketing space not doing a great job kind of getting the word out about these organizations. So we started Giver Marketing and then the Giver Marketing Network. And now we're the highest rated, and it's just a lot of results and good things happening. And we really, really love sharing these stories. Even right now, I just shared an origin story, right?
And I think we just created one on video for you just recently. We'll have to launch which turned out really nice, which kind of talks about what you're doing right now. And it had the visuals to go with it and everything. We'll have to pull that up as a sample at some point.
That's right. Yeah. Shout out to Andrew Snow and Kobe and a bunch of other team members who got together and put that kind of higher quality, professional version of a visual story that really helped us in video. That's really what we're saying here is get yourself on video, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find a way to do it. Now, do you need some courage to do this? And do you feel a little bit like imposter syndrome? Like, why am I doing this? And what do I even look good? And maybe Christine, you can speak to that. Like, what do we do if we're just not confident enough yet to get on video and tell our story or share a little tip or share a little this? Like, what do we do?
Well, so I've had clients in the past that, my background is public speaking, and that's what I taught in college. And so, a lot of times people aren't comfortable to start with, right? It takes practice. The first time you do something, it's always nerve-wracking. So I tell my clients, as I say, start with something small. If you have a group, then start in your group, right? This way you've got a limited audience, right? Before you start doing things on the Facebook page, right? Out in front of all those strange people that you don't know, right? Start someplace small and just build from there.
Is it okay to practice without publishing the video? I mean, where did you start? Like, how does that work?
Oh, yeah, you can practice. And the nice thing about practicing, you can practice and record yourself. And then you can look at it, watch and say, oh, I don't like that part. Let me fix that, right? So you have a dry run ahead of time so you can make sure that your lighting is good, make sure you got the right height going on. We're not staring at the top of your forehead only, whatever it is. Practice makes perfect, and record yourself and watch it. Absolutely.
All right. So speaking of that, here's a couple of tips, ladies and gentlemen. Christine and I have been working on this together. We keep each other sharp. We do these kind of things, right? And so I wanted to kind of just mention a couple of things. As you're getting everything together, maybe Christine, you can help with a few of these tips as well. But we want to make sure that your head is high enough on the screen that people can kind of see who you are. Yes, come on, come on. I love that. So, as we jump into that, and of course, my video as we're talking is deciding to go a little bit rogue on us. But hey, you just keep going, right?
I'm going to say, Timothy, this is a great example of what I would talk to my clients about. When you go live and things go wrong, how well you handle a difficulty, right? Do you handle it well? Do you panic? Do you freak out? Because really, this is our chance to see how you handle things when they don't go exactly like you want it to, right? That happens and it's okay. But if you're like a cool cat about it and you can make it happen and you keep flowing with it and everything keeps you cool and not a problem, then you're good. If you panic and don't look good, then they're like, oh, that person's got a temper, or that person's got, I don't know if I want to work with that person, right? So it's a chance to show how well you handle challenges.
All right. Well, Christine, at this point, I'm going to go work on my tech. And if you want to continue on,
I'll keep on rolling. How's that? Okay. What else we got going on for storytelling, visual narrative, right? So basically you want to capture the attention of the audience and transport them to another world, right? And you can do that. There's so many options for doing that when we start adding in video and photos, right? And we know that our consumers prefer visual content to plain text, right? If you had the option, would I rather watch this video or read this long, boring article, right? People tend to go towards the videos. That's kind of what's popular right now. It is more memorable, right? We're seeing that with the success of some of the platforms, the visual platforms, your Instagram, your TikTok, your Facebook Reels, all those, right? One of the reasons they get so popular, right? People like that quick, fast, instant gratification. And I know, my puppy doing puppy stuff, it's like, oh, your reel has only 2.5% of people get this many views. I'm like, yay, right? I'm not trying to monetize my dog, but it just kind of shows you it happens. It does. You just got to put a little effort into it, but it can be a lot of fun. Now, they're saying that 62% of millennials say they are more interested in visual search than any other type of new technology. So that's a lot, right? If you're not doing something in this space, right, you're missing out on a lot of expectations of your consumers, right? So search engines, Google, right, they're doing more images and videos in their results. And the brands are creating rich visual experiences on their websites. So think about it, product videos, infographics, user-generated content, interactive images. These are all opportunities for you to bring more video, more visual, more imagery into what you're doing, right? Nothing worse than a website that's just text. Lots and lots of text. We need pretty pictures, please. We have no attention span nowadays. You got to do something to keep our attention. Right? So when we think about, so we've got a video going right here. So storytelling, right? What story is this video sharing, right? So we've got some people, they're walking along the vines. They've got a little crate full of grapes right there. All of this tells us a story, right? This is a nice, simple way to, tell the story. You could just put on text, buy from us. We pick our grapes off the vine. That doesn't have the same impact, does it? Ha, Timothy, you're back. I'm bringing you. Oh, no. And there you go. And there you are. Do I dare bring you in? Now you're muted. Welcome.
This is what I noticed about this video. It's the angle on it is just superb. It's just perfect. Just how it's almost like a drone or something like is doing its thing. And when we're recording our own video, even if you have to go to a backup camera like I just did or whatever it is, just to kind of roll with whatever's happening, just make sure people aren't looking up your nostrils while you're talking. Please, ladies and gentlemen, have the angle, feel like you're in at least a B-grade movie or something, at least to the level where people can not get distracted by your chin hairs and your nose hairs and looking in the roof of your mouth when you're talking. Let's go. Get something to where you're at least, feeling confident in the room. And the higher you are on the screen, generally the better, but you know, you can overdo that too. I could be like up here and you couldn't see hardly, you know, anything of eyes. You want to see the eyes and the teeth and like really get into the conversation. Sometimes I'll just lean in and be like, hey, what's going on?
Don't lean in too far.
Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Okay, all right, cool. So you want to feel personable and have an angle that makes sense. And I love this video that you put in there.
Well, so that's the idea, is just thinking about how else can you tell your story, right? What can you do to add some visuals to it? And that's what I want everybody to think about for a second. Okay. So go ahead and drop it in chat, right? Or in the comments. Let us know, how can you increase your use of visual storytelling? You know, what do you think you can do? Do you want to pick a channel that you want to start playing with? Right? Is that TikTok? Is that Instagram? Is that Facebook Reels? Where do you want to warm up? Where do you want to start playing a little bit? Right? And what can you talk about? Start thinking about that. Use that comment section, right, as an opportunity to take notes. You can refer back to it later so you don't forget.
Yeah. Say something like, I've been thinking about using Instagram more, or I've been thinking about this more. And you'll get comments in right where you're posting those comments right now. And whether you're in the green room here, you know, putting some comments in the chat here, or just live on one of the social feeds, just put it in there. People will help you. It'll be a good thing. Trust me.
Yep. We got comments where they're talking about, hey, scary thought for me. Yeah, I get it. First time you do anything, it's terrifying. And remember, you can always delete it. If you do it and you go, oh man, I didn't like that, go back and delete it. Do it again.
Yep. The algorithms will do their thing, and then you'll do it again and it'll be fine. Like, it's okay. The world will not stop if you make a mistake. Like what just happened with my camera just now. Right. We're gonna let that roll. It's live. We can go through and delete a bunch of stuff if we had to, but it's not necessary. It's just personality and just
right.
life.
And there's something to be said about being authentic. The more authentic you are, right, you can go with the flow. People will still love you for who you are. It's okay. Like, you can't tell right now, but I'm feeding my puppy snacks because he's trying to beat me up while we're playing today.
All right.
Yeah. Well, so I think we talked a little bit about the visual storytelling, but that's just one of the top trends right now, right? We've got two more that we're going to talk to. So let's hit the next one. Micro influencers. Now, this is a fun space, right? We're familiar with the concept of your traditional influencer marketing. Okay. We've seen it. We're like, okay, we're used to celebrities plugging something like I use, right? Name whatever celebrity here, right? We see them, we recognize our sports players, or, you know, and we know, right? So they do usually on television, film, right? And those big name influencers, they can charge up to $10,000 per post. I don't know about you, but I'm not in the market to pay $10,000 for a post for anything at the moment. That's for sure.
Some charge even more than that. It just depends on what it is. But the point is it's outside of most people's budget. The average business, the average organization in at least North America, you know, is not going to be able to afford that, you know, multiple times a week or multiple times a month. So that we're speaking to the company or the organization that wants to grow, but they want to know where to start. So this is a great topic. So micro influencers, creators now have the tools to build their own audience, right? So you have these folks that have, you know, they don't have the millions and millions and millions of followers, but they might have, you know, 100,000 or less. I think we're going to talk about that in a minute. They might have a certain following on certain channel that you want to make sure you are present on. I mean, if there's anything you're doing that's visual, goodness gracious, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like, we got to be on these platforms at least a little bit just to make sure that we're present. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be there like 15 times a day. It just means that you need to partner with someone else who is there 15 times a day, right? So let's make sure and leverage those relationships. If you know somebody who has a great channel, Ask them to be a
Yeah,
part of that channel, right?
you don't have to be a high-paid movie star anymore in order to have 150 million followers. That's crazy, right? It's hard to wrap your mind around that. This isn't somebody we've seen on the big screen. This isn't somebody on TV. This is just your average person who had a mission, who just kept working on it and didn't give up and didn't quit, right? And just
By the
kept
way, for those who want to be a micro influencer, talk to Christine, talk to Jamar, talk to some of these other folks that you're going to be seeing today. Talk to us about how to get started so that you can have 10, 20, 50, 100,000, maybe even 1 million followers, not just for sake of ego, but for sake of impact. Like, how are you going to impact the world with this attention? Attention is the currency of marketing, right? That's worth writing down. That's worth putting in the comments. Attention is the currency of marketing. You'll hear people like Gary Vaynerchuk talk a lot about that. And really, it's not just one personality type that should consider this. There's the gregarious, outgoing, extrovert, like Christine and I happen to be. But then there's also folks like that are in our green room right now. Some of them are like a little bit more low key, a little bit more on the kind of cerebral side, and really deep thinkers. You can bring a lot of attention to a topic if you bring your true, authentic self to that channel. And if you make mistakes, laugh about it and then move on. Like, just do your thing in a real way, and don't feel like you have to be like pro the whole time. Just do the best you can with the lighting, the quality of the video. And if it's not working, try something else, and like just move forward and let people into. I was given some advice to a coaching session yesterday, and the gentleman's in a health related industry. And I said, look, if you want to be kind of a micro influencer in your space, find the channels that you love, be authentic. And when you're in the flow, just record a bunch of good content and release them as you think is appropriate. Get yourself a rhythm so people get used to seeing your voice in your face, and you'll do great. But don't over edit it. Like, just get it to where you feel like it's authentic. When you're traveling, let people know you're tired. And when you're traveling, let people know what you do to keep your energy level like up when you're traveling, and how to remedy that problem that we all have. And he was doing we were having a lot of conversation around health and traveling. And so I said, look, let people into your world while you're traveling as the health guy. Like, do it. Let people feel like what you're experiencing and where you're traveling. And some people will follow, connect with you for different reasons, but just be authentic. And then you won't have to be putting on a mask every time you turn on the camera. That's not the way you do it, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that is so key. Authentic is huge. That's why people like you, right? Let them like you for who you are. That's okay. And if you want to be a micro influencer, you can build up to that. Or if you just want to take advantage of the opportunity to work in that space, right? Reach out to somebody. You might not be able to reach out to a movie star and get them to respond, but a micro influencer who has 100,000 followers, if you follow them and get notifications, so when they post, you post right away and you put something thoughtful and you get their attention, at some point they might reach out to you and say, hey, it looks like we have some stuff in common, or hey, thanks for commenting, right? You have an opportunity to build that. And if they like your vision, if they like your mission, you never know what they might be willing to participate in.
Yep. And there's ways you can bless them and help them as well with behind the scenes stuff, or maybe introductions or connections or resources that maybe they don't have time to even do or think about, but they're busy doing their thing, and you can help them with something else. So there's always a way to reach out to these type of folks who love attention, and they love giving attention too to others. So
right. If you were to give them tickets to an event that you were hosting, and then you told them they could give away 2 to their favorite fans, however they want to do that contest, right? They could use as an opportunity to interact with their people in addition to bringing light to your cause, right? So there's a lot of ways to make that work. So don't be afraid to reach out. The worst they can say is no thanks. Best case scenario, you got some serious visibility going on with one of your favorite influencers.
And how many times did a no thanks turn into a not yet, then turn into a maybe, that turned into a, hey, let's have you on the show? Like, I mean, there's a whole process here. Like, it might be 2 years, or a year or whatever, but there's a process of kind of establishing a rapport and a relationship with some of these folks who are really doing a good job in handling this attention that dare I say, God's given them this attention. So they're handling it well. Good.
Yeah, and those micro influencers tend to be more engaged, right? They know their followers better. They're interacting with them, whereas the big celebrities a lot of times aren't doing that, right? And their average engagement rates are saying 5% for mega influencers. That's not bad, really, when you think about it. 5 out of 100 people, if you can get them to purchase or do something that you're wanting, it can add up after a while, right?
Some of the real skilled ones are higher than that in the micro influencer world. So that's a real good kind of metric to pay attention to. Thanks, Christine, for that.
Absolutely. Right. So our brands, we're doing those long-term relationships and connections with our micro influencers. We're building those communities and increasing our customer trust and loyalty. So those are some of the advantages to doing the micro influencer level. Right. So
remember, every micro influencer started somewhere. So whether you're on this side of this conversation or this side of this conversation, that it's worth noticing that these communities, these people are really working hard to establish a quality brand and experience. So good job.
Yeah. Think about how can you add micro influencers to your marketing? You know, what's your industry? What do you have to say about it, right? Who do you need to reach out, right? Do some searches on there for the hashtags that go along with your industry and see who's posting about it, right? Who's interested in it. And you might find somebody that you can reach out to and they might help with your cause. Because we like to do good in the world.
You could already be in your circle of connections. Who knows? Just start with what you got. So that's a great topic. Thank you for that one, Christine.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one, too. So we've hit 2 of them now. On to the third one. All right, this one isn't as fun, but it's absolutely essential. Okay, mobile optimization.
It's fun if you got a mobile device. I mean, goodness gracious, it's got to happen, right? I'm with you on that.
Yeah, you know, it used to be, well, you know, you would hope the website, well, not all of them are mobile friendly, and now they're doing it so optimized that they even have a separate URL. Right. It's amazing because really when you're on your phone, you want something that's quick and easy. Those long blocks of text go on forever and ever on a phone. Right. So you got to make sure that things are looking friendly. That's something that we want to actually look at, that it's just built different for us. Right. And that's what we're looking for when we're on our phone. We want something that's going to be easy to use. Right.
These different devices are super interesting, Christine, in how they render the images and the text, the sizing, the spacing. So when we're building our pages, please have somebody, a cousin, a friend, a team member, or even yourself, if you have to, go through several different devices and look at your pages. And for goodness sakes, if you see something that's off with a friend's website, let them know. Like, if you're on a mobile device and it's just not looking right, like don't just say, oh, it looks okay. No. Let them know. Like, there's so many different moving pieces in a web page or website nowadays. You got to let your friends know. It's really important.
Friends don't let friends have crappy websites. I'm just saying.
Right. Yep.
So saying research shows that more than half of annual online website traffic comes from mobile devices. Think about that. So half the people are viewing it on their mobile. So it's at that point where you have to do something about it. If you're not mobile optimized, you need to go take another look. Right?
And that's just the average. I mean, certain industries, it's 60, 70, 80%. And so that's minimum 50%, minimum. Like, if you're in the marketing space, innovative space, blockchain space, I know a lot of our listeners are in Web3, like all these different spaces, you have to be dialed in this conversation point, because you're just not as relevant if the mobile friendly pages are not optimized.
Absolutely. If you're targeting those millennials and your Gen Zs, right, it's their buying power grows. Their audiences are going to expect mobile purchases on the go. I don't know about you, but if I'm on the way someplace, you know, my honey's old fashioned. Is like, we'll walk into the store. We'll go up and down the aisles. We'll find what we're looking for. I'm like, oh no, I've got that store open. I'm looking to see if it's in stock. I want to know what aisle it's on before I even walk in the door. Right. So we want things on the go fast. You know, if I can purchase it and have it waiting for me at the counter, even better. Right.
89% of people will go online at some level before making a buying decision. So you have to definitely optimize this. And if you have any questions about optimizing websites, pages of any kind, just reach out and we'll get you to the right folks. We have web designers, we have SEO specialists, we have all different people that are going to help you with the front end, the back end of your website and your pages. Okay.
But you got to do it, right? You got to create that smooth, engaging experience for your mobile users, right? If you improve their experience, you're going to have a lower bounce rate, right? So they show in, they go, kind of like when you go to a website and it's like, it's waiting for it to load, waiting for it to load. You're like, bounce, right? I'm going to go find one that's faster. Well, it took a whole 5 seconds of your life. Well, that 5 seconds was too long. You got 3 seconds, right? So you want to lower that bounce rate, make sure that it works well on the phone, right? You're going to end up with higher conversions. Right?
Remember, this is your real estate. This is your real estate. This is not like borrowed or rented real estate from another platform. Like, generally speaking, this is either a platform that you have purchased rights to kind of build your page on, or it's literally like your domain in which you have full control of it. So treat it like your house. It's your real estate. That make it look presentable for the visitors. That's right. All right, good.
All right, improve those search engine rankings, like we were talking about SEO just a second ago, and stay competitive in your industry, right? Where are they going to go? Yours, it's a hot mess, or someone else's that's nice and easy to use? You know, don't send them to your competitors.
Hey, let's talk about that for a second. Just the experience. It's the psychology of the experience, and then we'll go into some team roundtable discussion. Okay, so Christine just said something really powerful just in passing here. But when somebody comes to your pages or your experiences you for the first time in some way, which oftentimes is on a web page somewhere, if it's hard and clunky to get around and navigate and get to where they want to solve their problem, how do you think that affects their psychology of when they actually do start working with you? Their expectations, kind of their experience. It's like walking into a restaurant and you don't know where to go or how to get seated. Like nothing's making sense. Then we sit down and you look at the food and one little thing is off, or it's just it didn't come quite fast enough. Now you're super grumpy. You were grumpy earlier, but now you're super grumpy. You don't want clients having this like initial impression where you're like old school and slow and clunky and out of order and doesn't make sense. Like you don't want to the biggest reason people don't buy things, especially long term, is because they get confused or there's the unknown factor. I'm not sure what to expect, those kind of things. So definitely want to dial this in sooner than later. So anyway, I just wanted to share.
Absolutely. That leads us right into what can you do to make your site more mobile friendly, right? So think about that. Take some time. Go take a look at your own site or your best friend's site and see if you guys can give each other a hand with that, right? What can you do to make it more user friendly? And one of the good rules of clicks is don't make them go click more than 3 times to get to the information they want, right? So how friendly is it? Especially if you're on the phone, you're moving, wiggle and wiggle, wiggle and click and wiggle and wiggle, right? Yeah. So make it easy on us. So see what you can do about that.
And give them multiple options to get to the same place. Don't make it hidden in one place only. Build your whether it's in WordPress or some other platform, building your pages on a funnel of some kind or anything like that. If you have control over it, make it to where they can click in the menu, make it sure it's down in the body, it's multiple pages. Some call them calls to action or buttons that they can click on to kind of get to where they really get the detailed information. So make it easy, like Christine's saying, but also make it obvious. Like there's multiple ways to get to that place, and make sure that there's some options there for them. Okay.
Absolutely. Great. And just a quick little tip on that one. When you have an article on something, you have another article related to that one, you can have just some hypertext inside of the actual article and have it click through to the other article, right? So do some internal clicking inside of your website. Just to kind of keep them playing.
Yes, let's do it. All right. Yeah. Are we ready for our team to jump in?
I think we're looking for that, right? We talked about visual storytelling, micro influencers, and mobile optimization. I have a feeling our team is going to have an opinion about this stuff.
Better preach it. Yeah, better be right. Hey, what's
Yep.
that last slide you got before we jump into
the last one was talking about if anybody needs any help, give her marketing. See those hands reaching up? That's what we do. We reach out and lift you up with your marketing and give you a hand. So if you're looking for a little help with your marketing, book a no-cost coaching session. That little QR code right there, just click on that and that'll take you to my booking link and I will give you a 30-minute free coaching session.
Yeah, it's worth every minute, ladies and gentlemen. I know Christine has given not only me personally, but others in our network and our clients some of that coaching awesomeness. So really appreciate her for that. And now it's time for the roundtable awesomeness. We got probably a bunch of questions coming through, maybe a few comments. But Christine, before we do that, is there anybody that's made any comments in the live social streams that might be worth mentioning just to kind of trigger the conversation here?
I was mentioning some of them as we went, but here's some good ones here. I'm talking about pay attention to engagement because a lot of people have bought followers. Good point.
Ooh, kind of a question.
It's like buying an email list, right? They may receive it, but doesn't mean they're interested in what you have to say, right? So you're not going to get much conversion if you've bought your followers, if you've bought your email list.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on these folks who maybe buy a certain amount of followers or leverage a certain list or do something in a little bit more of an untraditional way? Is that a no-no? Is that, hey, in some cases it might work? Or what are our thoughts here? Like, let's be real. Jamar, do you got a contrarian thought here? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of up and down. Christine,
I mean, personally, I would say I'm definitely not a fan of buying followers. I think you're just diluting your network essentially. So it's like you're just adding fluff and filler. So it actually looks worse to me when I go to someone's page and they have a bunch of followers, and then I'm looking at comments and engagement, and it's just like it's not nearly matching up with what they actually have. So I think like that's a red flag. But I also know, like, I work with people who do use the follower buying because, like, when you're going into like negotiate deals with like a label or like like something like that, like that, especially if they haven't heard of you, they just look at the followers and like they make a quick like, okay, yeah, he's legit, and they just move on. So that's it's kind of where it depends on where you're at. Yeah.
So bottom line is there better be a good reason, because there's no going back from bringing those followers in. You're going to have to manually unsubscribe, pull them out of there. I mean, it's going to be more work than it's worth unless you have a very specific reason, right?
I'd like to follow up with that concept, just the idea of, for example, in your email marketing, if you've got a bunch of fluff like Jamar's talking about, your open rate is low, right? They don't actually want your stuff. They may not have unsubscribed, but you've got an open rate of like this little tiny bit. Whereas if you took out the people that didn't want your stuff, right, your open rate looks fantastic, right? And then you're getting good vibes, and then they're liking it, and that's so much better. Higher deliverability that way.
Yeah, and whether it's public or private data, like you're alluding to, Christine, it's important to track that data and make sure that you got quality and some quantity. Like, let's be real, we want quantity of engagement, quantity of connections, but that quality you can't sacrifice quality just for the sake of quantity in the marketing space. It'll kill you almost every time, unless there's a rare circumstance where it just makes sense. And even then, you got to figure out what you're going to do afterwards. So you better think it through, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, what other topics or phrases stood out to you guys, and what questions do we have around these topics?
There's some great questions in our group here. I know I saw in the private chat back there, you guys are asking some really dynamite questions. Who wants to jump in?
Well, one of my questions, and I think a lot of people have this, especially if you're a solopreneur, is to try to figure out the balance, if there is a balance, between your personal posts. Christine mentioned posting her dog, and your brand, supporting your brand, talking about what you do and what service you offer the world, and focusing on how to create value for them. It's hard to know whether a dog, bringing your dog into an Instagram clip is going to leverage or help your brand at all. So I don't know what people think about that.
Good question.
It is a great question. Anybody want to answer that, or?
So
All right, I'll jump in. All right, so when it comes to, right, you have different, right, your personal, so I have my personal Instagram, I have my business Instagram, right? So we have different choices on where you want to play. So you got to put it in the right spot. Like I don't put my dog ones on LinkedIn. Doesn't go there. But my Instagram followers that are friends with, right, they're interested in what's going on. I get messages saying, what's the little beast up to today, right? So they want to know what's going on with the dog, right? Business, not so much. But the more interaction you get on your personal, which means when you share things from your business page to your personal, they're used to seeing more of your posts. So you're already getting the eyes on it. So they're going to get more eyes on the professional post that you pull into your personal once in a while.
Jamar, you work with a lot of influencers in some of these spaces. What have you seen as kind of a best practice as far as personal brand and as it relates to kind of a larger entity?
Yeah, so with personal branding, I think personal branding is always good, because if you don't share with people like who you actually are, that's like they're actually a lot less likely to engage with you. When I was working at Maricris, actually, I would show that to my managers all the time. I'd be like, hey, like we went and we did this event where we met with these people in person, but the piece that we have that is getting the most engagement is this personal photo that we took with this physician where we're just talking about how great our relationship is as friends instead of like, it was more of a sentimental piece than something that talked about our product, which, kind of helps out in the long run. But I actually did have a question for you guys. And it kind of has to do with personal branding, but how do you feel about creating content that is, I guess, intentionally divisive? So basically, in the current media, negative content actually travels 3 times as fast. So, some people like to use that strategy to kind of create heat around their brand and create engagement. But do you think that's an effective long-term strategy?
I want to hear Oz's take on this. I'm waiting for Oz to speak up, and I want to hear, because he's a positive dude, but he's also a bit controversial just by nature, like just the way he does things. Like he's an artist, so he's always pushing the envelope and he's always doing different things. So Oz, without dropping any, crazy controversial phrases even right now, like, can you just share with us your thoughts on that?
Well, if you look at somebody who you spoke about earlier, Gary Vaynerchuk, he is not the flavor for some people, because every single time you ever look at any of his videos, he probably drops a dozen F-bombs. Okay. So there are people that would not hear his message, which is great, because they're offended by who he is. And my opinion is, your opinion of me is none of my fucking business.
He did it. I knew he was going to do that. I knew he was going to. Oz, you did it. I can't believe it.
So,
all right. So
the point is, controversy does sell. I mean, you look at the news, you look at anything. So I think doing it once in a while to just kind of like have people go, oh, wow, he actually said that, is okay, but not every week. Not every day.
Right. Tamara, you teed him up, and I walked right into that one. So here we are. Here we go. Okay. Thanks, Oz, for shaking it up a little bit. We're not big on the F-bombs, ladies and gentlemen, but hey, sometimes sometimes it just fits right in the conversation. It just kind of makes sense. Okay. All right. It is what it is. Any other thoughts about these controversies, since Oz decided to stir the pot here? Any He's like, what else did you expect me to do? You called on me. Any other thoughts on controversial posts in general, whether it's political, whether it's dropping certain language, whether it's co-branding with a particular person that maybe not be somebody that you would technically hang out with all the time, but it's like, they're going to get me some attention. So what am I
The
going to,
disruptors,
the disruptors,
right?
like
Your
what do we do?
disruptors. That's a thing right now, and it's a big thing. And there's times when you're looking for some organizations, that's what they're looking for specifically, and that is the main focus of their marketing, is to be a disruptor in any way, shape, or form. And that's their claim to fame.
Look at the success of Fox News. Just look at their success level. Look at Tucker Carlson. Look at his success level. The millions he made by being controversial, negative, and attacking.
Yeah, and that happens in
not
all
who any of
different.
us choose to be, but it works.
Yeah, it works. It definitely gets attention. I'm not sure about the long game though. I'm not sure about that. I'm thinking through it right now. Joel, do you have any? You have a lot of wisdom on this. Tim, you as well. What do you guys think?
Well, I think I think number one, it's your desired intention. What is your desired outcome by doing that? And if your long term is to be controversial and to make a living at it, then by all means, more power to you. But you're going to attract the people that are sympathetic to your views, and then you're also going to formulate in their minds who you are and what your values are. So the question is how you want to be viewed, and what kind of people you want to be associated with. So as an image, and we're talking about it in the marketing space, our job is to be a lot of times chameleon in a sense for our clients. But the question is, does that client want to be associated? Is their image correct? Are they drawing an audience that bears these same views? Right? All of those questions have to be answered before you make that statement, because you can't take it back.
Tim, what do you think?
Well, I'm the noble purpose guy, and the way that you develop a real strong brand, this is Seth Godin, this is not me, but he says to focus on your most narrow, viable niche. So what you do is you put your values out there, and I think that to me, the balance is more, I guess, more between putting yourself out there in support of something that may cause friction, and putting your values out there, being really clear about what you stand for, and what you want to be known for. Because I think it's fine to be controversial. It's fine to ostracize people and differentiate yourself in the marketplace by taking a strong stand in a certain area, because that's what establishes who you are, what your values are. And like Joel's saying, you're going to attract, you're going to draw in a real faithful group of people. The more specific your values are, and the stronger the stance that you take in a certain area, the more you specialize in a certain area too.
So even if those values cause some friction, and even if they cause some friction, you're saying go for it. Whereas some others, let's put it this way. I wonder if sometimes the end goal for some people is literally just attention. Like they literally just want more attention. It's like their mom didn't take care of them well enough, or something's going on, and they've parlayed that into a career. And I'm not gonna say that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just like at some point there's potentially a mental health scenario, or maybe just even a health scenario in general. Are you able to handle all this attention with the kind of the way that you're it's a deeper topic. And Jamar, I appreciate you bringing it up, because we're just a bunch of, we're just a bunch of do-gooder marketing people here trying to figure this out. But at the same time, it's a real question. Attention is the currency of marketing. So how do we navigate this without losing our soul, is what Tim is kind of saying. And there are some people, I'm just going to be just real direct, because we're real honest and authentic here, as you can tell. There's some people that I won't invite into certain rooms because I know they're going to drop an F-bomb. And there's other, Oz is smiling. And there's other people that,
for it.
we've hung out, we broke bread, we love each other, we're good. But I'm just saying, like, there's some people, I'm not going to invite Oz to come and share a testimony in front of a church. Like, it's just not gonna happen. That's not his thing. Like, that's not what he wants.
Whoa. I have great church stories.
Oh, I bet you do, Oz. Okay, come on.
I was invited twice to the main, one of the main Mormon churches up in Bountiful, and then twice to my local one here, because I know the bishops. I just travel in those circles. And the last time I was at the temple here in Salt Lake, they asked me to speak on Judaism. And I said, I haven't been to shul in like 40 years. They're like, yeah, but our religions are so similar. And there were about 350 people there, all my neighbors, okay, from all around me. And this was about 5 years ago. And I dropped a couple of F-bombs, and about a third of the room laughed hysterically. The other 2/3 of the room, when they see me coming down the street, they cross the street with their children.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some people you just got to take a risk and invite them into the, the green rooms, invite them into the spaces. And Oz and I have gone to conferences together and blockchain this and blockchain, like, and there's some spaces, like, it just makes sense. Like, it doesn't matter. It's okay. It's cool. But then there's other places it's like, know where you are, know your audience, know what's going on, because you're gonna be your authentic self, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be always controversial just to be relevant. Like, that's not necessarily the game here. So thanks for the question, Jamar. I feel like if we go any deeper on this question, we're gonna get in more hot water with Kingdom Warriors, with our friends. And you know what? If somebody drops some an analogy or some language or something that you don't really, there's something actually to be looked at there too, as far as like, okay, are you like hyper religious, or like, are you listening to the message and maybe you're able to overlook a couple of choice words? There's something to be thought about there too. You'll never hear me drop certain language, but at least in public. But at the end of the day, we have to kind of evaluate our own like tribes and how we want to roll and those kind of things. So it's a great question. Any other thoughts, questions, or comments that might be?
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit of perspective in the marketing space, which is you can't purchase your entire market. You don't have enough money. You cannot buy your entire market. Just ask any political candidate. So if you're narrowing your field, you're not going to you're not going to over expand the potential of that market. So where people are being controversial or whatever because they think they're losing market positioning or they're gaining some other form of market positioning, a lot of times it's a narrow-sighted view on what the potential market is that they truly desire. So if you've really got a bead on your ideal customer and you've done the research, you've done the homework, you cannot buy that entire market.
So what's the solution? If you can't buy it, is it?
The solution is that you'll get your share.
Okay, so you'll get your share if you're authentic, intentional, consistent, rock and roll, do it with some fun and be interesting, but don't think that you're going to gain every single.
You can't exhaust it.
You can't do that. Okay, all right.
Yeah, you can never exhaust that market.
Okay.
So
that's realistic. That's real talk, right?
So the demand side of it is that you can't exhaust the potential to growing your business in your desired market. So don't feel like you have to be controversial because you're not gaining enough attention.
Okay. I'm enjoying this conversation. What's our takeaways today as we wrap up? What's the one thing you're going to remember to put into your business that might help others? Put it in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. If you're still hanging with us after Oz's F-bomb and you're just like, hey, okay, I'm good. Put it in the comments. What are you going to take away? Don't start dropping F-bombs in the comments, please. Just give me what your takeaway is for your organization or business. What do you got, Christine? You prepared the presentation. What stood out to you?
Yeah, this the top trends, and pick one that you're comfortable with, that you want to become comfortable with, and master that, and then move on to the next one, and just, you got to start. Don't be afraid to start.
Which one are you gonna kind of take to another level this year, you think?
Oh goodness, I've really been 2023. I've been doing a lot more video, and that's already a space I'm comfortable in now. It's just a matter of the follow through and making sure I do it right. But that's a space that I enjoy, right? And we really got us thinking with this conversation today about the values that you put across in your presentations and what that says about who you are. If it's a noble purpose. Thank you, Tim. You know, there's certain conversations that I want to have and certain conversations I don't want to have, right? And that's okay. Not knowing what you like and knowing what you don't like is just as important.
Okay, good. What about you, Tim? What have you been thinking about taking to another level in regard to our conversation today and the earlier points?
Yeah, it's all about creating value. And same thing. I try to sit down and record 3 1-minute videos a couple times a week. And just before I popped on here, I did that. And I think it's a great exercise on multiple levels. I recently heard the work that doesn't seem to pan out is working on you. Meaning, even if those videos get 4 or 5 views, I know that I am exercising and practicing and getting more comfortable in front of the camera and figuring this whole thing out. So I would just encourage people to know that good is good enough sometimes. Like that might be like in my case, I shot him. I was out of focus. My hair was all whacked out. I'm like, heck with it. You know, I like what I said. So
there you go. So practice. And you're going to be continuing to practice more video, or is there another area that you're going to take to another level?
Yeah. So the videos and then I want to get on the street. I want to tell the stories of people who are engaging in noble purpose, you know, that are examples of people who are doing noble purpose.
Kind of behind the camera kind of stuff? Is that what you're talking about? Okay,
yeah,
good.
Interviews. Mm-hmm.
Yep, I love it. Joel, what about you? What are you taking to another level based on this particular topic?
Well, I think what was a really interesting aha kind of confirmation is the impact of mobile. And as you know, I'm deep in the PPC world, and we find now that the higher levels of access are coming through mobile over desktop. And so it just was a nice confirmation to say, let's reverse engineer how we go to market. Right? Let's look at the mobile platform first versus a VSL or a sales page or a landing page. Let's flip the script on that and let's really talk about its impact at the mobile level first, and then we can expand it and redesign our pages based on the other 40%.
Pay-per-click specialist, ladies and gentlemen, that's what he was alluding to before. Thank you, Joel, for kind of mentioning that as a point of growth and continued attention for your company. You can always get better at that, right? Always get better at some of these things. Oz, what do you got as far as a point of growth or a focus for this year in relation to this conversation?
Well, I'm not going to mention a name because I've been asked not to, but there's someone on this broadcast right now that I'm partnering with to create something absolutely brilliant, and it's called No More Starving Artists, or in that the acronym that we came up with, NOMOSA, which sounds like, stop smiling, sounds like a drink, and we love it. And that person is building an incredible website, and we are going to eradicate the term starving artist from our cultural vocabulary because I now have the right partner who is so much smarter than me.
No more starving artists. I love your mission, and it's so focused.
Wait till you see the hoodies. Wait till you see the hoodies.
I'm excited. Hey, I've already bought one of your shirts and we've hung out together, so I'm excited to see more and more of your work. So that'll be good. Jamar, what do you got that you're gonna kind of zero in on this year?
Yeah, definitely getting in front of the camera more and personal branding. Yeah, I've definitely done that a little bit over the years, and you've used social media a long time, but never really got into video content just because It's not like I was like, okay, I can do it, but it's like not really my go-to thing. But yeah, I think it's definitely important, and it connects with people the most in today's market. So yeah.
I like what you said earlier about personal brand. You can't really go wrong. Even as we hit the top of the hour here and kind of wrapping up today, I think I'm exploring more of like how my personal public persona is going to affect Giver Marketing Network and some of the art collective kind of stuff we're doing and some of the nonprofit work, and just seeing how that could maybe overflow into some of the corporate or larger entity or the separate entities that I'm involved with. Just kind of be a blessing to those entities and get on the stages and say rah 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 for what Oz is doing, what you're doing, for everybody's doing to kind of together and just making the world a better place and leveraging what I have, which is a certain kind of personality that's not afraid of the stage. So maybe I can leverage that to be a blessing. So that'll be good.
Yeah, as you're talking, Timothy, I'm thinking, man, one of the things that you do really well is the influencer marketing might not be on the scale that you're thinking of, but that's kind of what you do, right? You're reaching out, you're working with Kingdom Warriors, right? You're reaching out with these different organizations and working with them so together y'all can do good together, right? So it's kind of a form of influencer marketing where you're helping each other's groups.
Maybe we should coin a term like partnership influencer marketing or something like that, because these collaborations, I know that Twitter has collabs and just different platforms have collabs, and Discord and all these other all these spaces that Future Modern and Jamar and all the gang know a lot about as well. But I think there's another level of interoperability and working together, exchanging tokens and doing all these kind of things. So hey, with that, we'll leave that as a teaser. Christine, thanks for putting this together. This is our fun broadcast where we'll be able to introduce our team members and topics that are just top of mind for us, and hopefully they're helpful for you. Same time, same location, wherever you're watching this streaming, this is where you want to be next week, same time, okay? So God bless you guys.
Join us tomorrow for our networking meeting. So if you want to dive deeper into the topic from today, where we were talking about these trends and how to incorporate those into your business and your business model, come hang out with us tomorrow at the networking meeting at 8 a.m. Pacific or 11 a.m. Eastern, and register at givermarketing.com/networking. Come hang out with us and we'll dive into it one-on-one.